I'll tell you exactly what I did to get perfect grades. This is exactly what I did every time. Number 6 is that you must party. I felt like life was a musical. I'd go outside, sparrows would land on my hands, I would sing to them. Hi YouTube. My name is Ashima Singh and you are watching my channel Aesthetic Academic. I am a medical student that loves fashion and I also love pondering the philosophical quandary of aesthetics. There are some seriously talented YouTubers out there who are certified geniuses, bless them, and they produce this really valuable content about how they achieve the things that they do in their lives. One of my favorite one of these people is Ali Abdaal, who is a junior doctor at Cambridge. So he's been vlogging his life since he was at university. And not only that, he started a multi-million-dollar business while he was still in medical school. I don't even have the ability to compute that. However, for a Joe Schmo like me, and maybe you're a Joe Schmo too, it can be hard to relate to and be inspired by someone who has always excelled academically. I always have this nagging inner monologue when I'm watching these videos, and it's always something like this. Is there even any point in you trying? Because you're never gonna be as smart as that person. I mean, you didn't even know how to spell the word medicine until last year. That's where I come in for you. These are my grades from my first ever year at university. I think the numbers really speak for themselves here. Special mention to that 2% and the 8% I got. Don't really know what was going on there. And oh, yep, that 83% in painting techniques was my last ditch attempt to not get kicked out of uni. It didn't work. These are my grades from a degree I completed last year in biomedical science. And I would say this degree was roughly twice as difficult as the first degree that I attempted to do. These are also the grades that got me accepted into one of Australia's best medical schools. It's a staggering difference, isn't it? I spent $20,000 figuring out how to excel at university. So please don't let that be in vain and learn from my mistakes. Without further ado, I don't know if it's a do or a do, but here is my 12-step formula on how you can get a perfect GPA. Number 1 is you have to dial in how much study you'll need to do for the degree. And the way to do this is by applying yourself 150% for one semester, seeing what results you get from that, and then tweaking the amount that you're studying according to that. So my first semester of biomed, I was at the library like all day, every day for the full semester. And then when I got my results, I was like, oh, okay, like hang on a minute, I actually don't need to study that hard. I can turn it down here and I can turn it down there. And it helped me construct a formulaic way of knowing how much I needed to study for each subject. And you just need to do that once in your degree and then you'll have a good idea of how it's going. Number 2 is something that I wish that I was told, but I just never got told this. You have to go to all your lectures and you have to stay up to date with all your lectures. When I transitioned from high school to uni, I remember all that I knew about uni was, oh, class isn't compulsory. So my dumb idiot brain was like, oh, sweet, I guess it's not compulsory. That means I'm not gonna go because I don't have to. You absolutely have to if you wanna pass. Like that's not a negotiable. If you don't go to your lectures, you will fail the course. So go to your lectures, please, please, and don't fall behind. Number 3 is don't buy your textbooks. Obviously there's sometimes you need to buy workbooks, which absolutely buy those. But in my whole degree, I didn't buy any textbooks and I did just fine without them. All of the content is normally in the lectures, and the very few times that it's not, you can easily go to the library and read the book for that day. You'll save yourself like hundreds of dollars. So just don't buy the books. Number 4 is my favorite one. I love doing this. This is my favorite part of the year, weirdly enough. It is writing all my assessments into my planner. So every semester, every uni basically, they'll release a study guide for every subject. And in that, 9 out of 10 times, it'll list all the assessments that you have that semester. And so what you have to do super well at uni is to write all those assessments into your planner, highlight them, and then write what % they're worth next to it. I'll show you how I did that. So for example, In May, I have my First Nations health assignment due on the Friday, and I know that by flicking through it, because it's purple, and this has really saved me a lot of anguish of not knowing when assignments are due. This has really saved my life. Number 5 is having the right tools for the job, which is an A4 planner and a fountain pen. So the beauty of the A4 planner is that you have to pull it out of your bag and put it on a table before you can write on it. You can't just, scrawl in it in your ugly handwriting. You actually have to put it down and actually make an effort. And that keeps it way tidier. Nothing is less inspiring than an ugly planner. And I have horrible handwriting, so I need to make every attempt to make it good. So, I just fill it out like this, a nice big font, put little check boxes next to it. And I cannot recommend these planners enough. When I see people with A5 planners, I'm like, poor you, you haven't evolved yet. Please just come on, go to Typo. It's like $15. I put some little koi fish on it because I want it to be fun. But yeah, I think this is a non-negotiable, because if you want to have grand plans, you need a big planner, duh. This is my pride and joy, my Lamy Safari, which is a very, very beginner's range fountain pen. And why I recommend fountain pens so much is that they make writing so enjoyable. And if you want to get good grades, you want to make writing and studying as pleasurable as possible. And this, my friends, is just, you'll feel born again if you write with a fountain pen. Maybe not the first time, it takes about 1 week to adjust, but I had a new lease on life, I felt like life was a musical. I'd go outside, sparrows would land on my hands, I would sing to them. Honestly, that's how I felt. That is not even an exaggeration. I'm kind of crazy, but it does have that effect on people. Number 6 is that you must party. There is a catch to this one though. You just can't go out partying willy-nilly. You have to plan it. But if you plan it correctly, you'll find that your grades will increase because you're just having so much fun. So I'll show you how I go about planning it. So like I said before, you know how I fill out my assessments out at the start of the semester. I then go back and I find gaps in those assessments. So this is this week, week 6. And I had penciled in that I'm going to go to Pitch Festival. And lo and behold, that's just something minor. I don't have anything due the week after, so I'm going to go. And that way, so that's week 6 of 18. I'm going to have a really good boogie that weekend and have so much fun. And then the next week, I'm going to come back and I'm going to feel so rejuvenated. Tired, but rejuvenated. And that will carry me through hopefully for the next 6 weeks, or until, I have a break around Easter. And I think it helps you stay motivated to have something really fun to look forward to. And if you plan it correctly, there's no reason why you won't be able to continue to do well. I'm also really strict with this one because I like going out so much. I can get really carried away with it. So unless I've pre-planned it in my planner, I don't go out partying because it's just too easy to try to be spontaneous and then decide that it's okay because, it's your friend's birthday. But I'm cutthroat. I don't go out unless I've planned it and it's in my planner. And my friends know that I'm studying really hard, so they all understand. Yeah, that's how you got to do it. You got to be strategic. Number 7 is to get a job that you have to work about 10 or 15 hours a week. This one is really good because it forces you to organize your time. And I've definitely noticed, so all of my undergrad, I had a part-time job, and it forced me to be really regimented, which was great. And when I started med, I quit my job, and now I'm looking for another job because I can just feel how less efficient I am because I know that there's always time to do it later. And I'm not maximizing on my time right now. So get a job. Even if it feels like you're so busy that you can't manage it, I promise you'll be able to manage it. The job thing is really a twofer because you'll get better grades, and of course you'll learn how to communicate and be in a team, which is so vital to literally every job ever. Number 8 is to not waste your time writing really beautiful notes, and it's to do some sort of spaced repetition, which for me was rewatching my lectures on double speed. So I'll tell you exactly what I did to get perfect grades. This is exactly what I did every time. I watched the lecture when it came out. Then I would rewatch them again around exam time during spot back on double speed back to back. I would scroll down stuff when I was watching it, but nothing that I'd really look back on. And that would always get me a score of around 80 something, low 80s. if I watched them when they came out and then watched them again a week later and then watched them again like closer to exam time, then my scores would be something like 89. So it's the same principle that flashcards, that Anki, if anyone has heard of Anki, it's like a Japanese algorithm flashcard thing. All it is spaced repetition. And so if you can find a way to do that, that's going to be really valuable to you, and you're going to spend less time studying and still get really, really good grades. Number 9 is that you should join a gym. So I used to hate going to the gym. I was never an active child, but I remember this one neuro lecture that really resonated with me. And our lecturer was talking about how, I'll try to find the study and link it, but that mice in a cage where they had toys and stuff to play with, there was an increase of their brain mass versus when they didn't have any toys and stuff to play with and run around with. And your brain doesn't really grow cells very easily or very often. There's only a few regions that do that. So I remember being oh shit, if the mice are running on their wheels and they're learning more stuff, I guess I could run on a treadmill and hopefully that'll implant some more information into my brain. And I think it really worked. I do believe that I got better grades after I started going to the gym and exercising. If even just from purely from blood flow perspective, there's more blood flowing to your brain when you're exercising. So that's got to be good, right? I feel like I've read that. I feel like it worked. What have you got to lose, really? The gym that you choose doesn't have to be expensive. The one that I go to is about $30 a fortnight. And the things to look for is just that it has, a nice atmosphere. A general rule of thumb is that if the people at reception feel like used car salesmen, like Matilda Wormwood's dad from Matilda, don't go there. I've definitely been to a gym like that, and it just gave me the heebie-jeebies. I didn't even want to walk in there because they were always trying to sell me something or, steal my soul. So yeah, just find one that's cheap and cheerful and that is convenient. Number 10 is to do any assessments or quizzes at the earliest possible chance to do them. So if you've got a quiz that opens from Monday to Friday, do it on the Monday, because your grade won't change that much between the Monday and the Friday, and you'll be in a good habit of submitting things early and punctually. And then you'll have the rest of the week to relax as well. There was a genetics class that everyone found really challenging, myself included. And we did a 3-hour lab, and then there was an assessment that was open from that evening until 4 days later, I think after the weekend. And I always did it on the first day that I was able to do it, that evening. I would just go home and get it done. And I think my grades were very consistent with everyone else's, which means that I wasn't performing less because I submitted it early, but it meant that I could relax the whole weekend and not have it on my mind. And also it made sure that I wasn't going to forget to submit it or do something silly and lose silly marks like that. Number 11, took my assignment grade from mid-60s to 80s, and it's to do your assignments in drafts. So I would always now write a rough copy, just, whatever, incomplete sentences, not even in order, just a really, really horrible copy. And then have that open, and then have another document open next to it where I retype my assignment from the start. I don't copy and paste from the old one. I just rewrite it while looking at my rough copy. And at the same time, I don't really print many things at uni because I don't like wasting paper, but I'll print off any assignment rubric I have, because it is really useful to be typing out your assignment and then have the rubric in front of you so you can highlight what you're missing and then tick off the parts of the rubric that you've done. And this ensures that you don't lose any silly marks that you don't need to lose. Number 12 is sort of part of the reason that my channel is called Aesthetic Academic, and it is to make your assignments pretty. Formatting your assignment and putting thought into the layout of the way it looks really improves your grade, because it's people who are marking your assignment. You're not immune to how beautiful something looks, and people are attracted to the way things look, if there's symmetry or if it's well formatted or if the colors work together. So by putting that extra effort into formatting your assignment and making it look really visually appealing, like you want to read it, is going to bump your grade up. And I promise you, there's been assignments that I've submitted that are not technically that great, but have scored really well because I've gone that extra mile and formatted them, past the assessor's expectations. And, they're people. They have biases and they're going to be biased to scoring something that looks visually pleasing with a better grade. Number 13 is to try your best at the 1 and 5 percenters. I've seen many of my friends fall into the trap of being like, it's just a 1% assessment. Like, really, what difference does it make if I get, 50% or 100%? You're going to want every freaking percent when it comes to the exam time, which is the actually difficult part of the unit. And the grades associated with 1 or 5% assignments, they're normally easier questions. So I may as well try your hardest for those ones, so you have more room to breathe when it comes to the exam time. Number 14, I will harp on about this one forever, is to do your work at uni and don't take it home with you. Just stay back a couple of hours at uni and do your assessments there. And then when you come home, you can relax and switch off and truly relax instead of half doing your assignment, half watching Netflix, not really enjoying either of those things. Because relaxing is just as important as doing the work. So I don't know if you noticed this, but for my biomedical science degree, I was 1% off in one subject from getting a perfect GPA. And it just serves as a stark reminder that I'll never be perfect. But now that you're watching this, you have the opportunity to be perfect. And so where I went wrong with that is that I underestimated the subject. So tip number 15 is don't underestimate the subject. So to set the scene, it was a public health unit amongst a sea of really technical, molecular type units. And so the vocabulary of public health is like normal English, there's no words in there that you have to learn. So on the surface, in comparison to all of the really tricky, complex vocab subjects that I was doing, it looked comparatively simple. And so I underestimated that unit. I said, it looks easy on the surface, therefore it must be easy. And it was the toughest unit that I've done, and that is where I fell down. I underestimated it at the start. So even if a subject looks like it's going to be easy, still try to the same extent that, I just spat everywhere, I'm so passionate about this. Just try to the same extent that you have in your other subjects, because on the off chance that it is one of those sneaky little buggers that is super hard, you don't want to lose your marks there. So just try your best for every subject, regardless of how easy it looks on the surface. That concludes this video. I thank you so much for watching. If you try to incorporate these tips into your life, you'll be well on your way into a career like medicine or whatever you're trying to get into. And if you enjoyed watching this video and you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe. That would be really useful for me and it would be really nice of you to do. And I will see you next week.